Hello, my name is Aaron Allen. I'm a Haskell developer. Today I want to talk about a GHC plugin that I wrote. And while GHC plugins are usually intended to alter the behavior of GHC in some way or add some extended functionality, this plugin is actually intended to be more of a developer tool, specifically dealing with warnings in a GHCI session. So when I'm developing, I like to use GHCI, but I've encountered some friction around warnings. So let me show you a bit of what I'm talking about here. All right, so I've got the Cabal code base here loaded into GHCI. And for demonstration purposes, I'm going to export this text term from this module, which it shouldn't export, but let's reload this and see what happens. All right, so I'm getting some warnings here about redundant imports. Okay, so we got a number of warnings and they're spread out across my buffer here. I have to scroll around to find everything. It's a bit of a hassle if I were to then go and fix these warnings. This is not very helpful user experience. So to fix this, I have a plugin enabled where there's this show warnings command, where if I evaluate this, then I get all of the warnings, all the active warnings for this GHCI session, all displayed together. So it's now much easier for me to go and deal with the warnings. Additionally, if I have some redundant imports here, like I'm going to add this char term, I'm going to import data.list, text as well. So let's reload this again. Okay, and again, I got some warnings, but they're all the way at the top here, so I might have missed them. But I can show the warnings, there they are. And for redundant imports, there's another command called fix warnings, which if I evaluate this, then we see that this file was edited. So I can refresh this buffer, and then the redundant imports are gone, and this extraneous term was also removed from the pretty print import. So that is a feature that saves me a lot of time when I'm doing a refactor where I'm touching a bunch of different modules, and imports can easily become redundant. And then you might spend a lot of time going through and removing import declarations, and might not even see the warnings because they got lost in the buffer somehow. So that's quite useful. I will say it's a bit of an experimental feature. I discovered actually making this presentation that this does not play well with the C preprocessor, so I'll need to look into that. Okay, so let's take a look at the implementation of this plugin. So this is the main module where the plugin is defined. Here it is. So it's got a few different components. I've got a type checker plugin, parse result action, dyn flag, modifier, and the main sort of mechanism that this is using are these empty type class definitions here. So we've got type classes that don't have any parameters, just have a single method with type unit. Totally useless type class, right? Except that with this plugin, specifically the type class or type checker plugin, I can check for specific wanted constraints within the compilation context. So here I'm checking if the class for the wanted matches with the show warnings class. So if I were to evaluate this expression in GHCI, it would emit a wanted constraint for show warnings, and I would match on that here, do some implementation details, and then there's this add warnings to context, which takes the warnings that have been stored or pinned for the session and emits them back into GHC so that they're displayed to the user. So how do the warnings get there in the first place? So the warnings are tracked within this global state variable. So a bit of unsafe perform IO here, but it's for a good cause. And they get there using this Dyn flags plugin. So this allows you to modify the dynamic flags for a session. So what I'm doing here is using this log action function, which is sort of a handler that GHCI sends messages through. So I can hook into this and pattern match on the warning messages, make sure they have source code locations, and then I put them in this map that goes into the global variable. And that's essentially how the plugin works. So I've been using this at work quite a bit, and I find it to be quite useful. So I hope you check it out, and feel free to open bug reports, and pull requests are welcome. And that's it. Thanks very much.